right, we made it to Friday, statistical measures. So we are going to be working, and this should say 10.2. 10.2 statistical measures. We are going to be looking at range, mean, median, mode. That's what we're looking at today. And if you were here last year, you learned about this. I'm going to guess a lot of you have already seen this, and that's great. If you have not, we will learn completely about it today. So that is all right. We are going to have 2 examples, and then you'll have 2 homework problems. Pretty straightforward. You are allowed to use a calculator on this, but I do need to see some work. There are programs out there where you could just enter these numbers and find range, mean, median, and mode. So I do need to see work. I don't necessarily need to see all of your adding, but I should see some work, and I'll kind of explain what I mean as we go. So, range. The range is the difference between the greatest score and the smallest score. Now, we see our set of data up here. Before we get to that, let's just go through the definitions for these 4 words. Range is the difference between the greatest and the smallest. Mean is the sum of scores. We know sum means what? Adding. So we're adding all the scores and dividing by the quantity of scores. All right, so mean, another word for average or mean is average. Okay, so if you want to write that in here, you can. We're going to use the word mean here, but know that that's true. For the median, we can think of on the road, in the middle of the road, right? We have those big cement things that break up the road from people going one way from the other. That's called a median, and median is in the middle, all right? So the middle score is the median, or if there's 2 in the middle, then we average them, and that'll make sense as we go. The mode is the score that occurs most frequently in a set of data. And we can see here, a set of data may have more than one or even no mode if no score repeats. Okay, so with that in mind, when we are finding range, mean, median, and mode, the first thing we want to do is order these numbers least to greatest. Okay, so let's do it. We have 3, and I cross it off just to make sure I don't lose track. Then 5, then I see 6. There's 2 6s. And then I have a 7, and then another 7, and then 9 and 10. And you could do it least to greatest, greatest to least, either way, but it needs to be in order to make our work go as easy as possible. From here, we find the range. That's just the difference between the greatest and smallest score. Well, the greatest score is 10, the smallest score is 3, and the range is 7. I do want to see this work. You need to show me the smallest and the greatest, subtract them. Very simple. All right, the mean is where we add the scores up and divide by the quantity of scores. So off to the side or in a calculator, so this is the part I don't need to see the work for, we are going to sum the scores. So you're going to take 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7 plus 7 plus 9 plus 10. And I don't have a calculator right now, so let's do it together. You guys should be able to do this one with me. So here we go. 3 plus 5 gives me 8. Plus 6 gives me 14, plus 6 gives me 20, plus 7 gives me 27, plus 7 gives me 34, plus 9 gives me 43, plus 10 gives me 53. Okay, so we have 53 is our total there. And how many numbers are here? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it says sum of scores. We did that, 53, and I should see that number. I need to see that work. What did you get when you added them up? We are going to divide by the number of scores, and we just said that there were 8. All right, now, is this one we have memorized? No, so you're going to have to divide it out. If you have a calculator, you can use that. 8 can't go into 5, but it can go into 53. How many times? Can go 6 times, and 8 times 6 is what? 48. And now we're going to subtract. 13 minus 8 is 5. All right, so we're going to have to keep dividing this out. We add a decimal point and a 0. We'll pull that decimal point up into our answer, bring our 0 down. 8 goes into 50 how many times? It's going to go 6 again, right? And 8 times 6 is 48. We subtract, we're left with 2. We add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 20 2 times. And we get 16. We subtract, we're left with 4. And 8 goes into 45 times. And it actually does go evenly, right? So we are wrapped up now. So our mean is 6.625. And we have our answer for that. Again, I don't need to see all of this work, but I should see what your sum was and what you divided it by. All right, moving to median. Your median is your middle score. Now this is where it's really important to write all of the data out. So you can see that we have all the numbers listed up here. Which number is in the middle? Well, an easy way to do that is to eliminate low to high and see what's left. Now we have 8 scores here, so keep that in mind as we go. So we have the low score and we have the high score. And notice I'm crossing these out with something kind of light so that I can still see the number. So then we're going to keep going like that. Low, high, low, high. Now notice I have 3 numbers crossed out below here and 3 numbers crossed out below here, and I have 2 left. Now you cannot have 2 medians. You'll notice here in median it said or the average of 2 middle scores. Now notice, how many scores did we have here? We had 8. And 8 is an even number, and anytime you have an even number, you're going to end up with 2 medians that you will need to average. Remember, average means the same thing as mean. Add them up and divide by the number of scores. So let's do it. So we have 6 and 7, so we're going to take 6 plus 7 is what? Sorry about that. 6 plus 7 is what? 13. And then we are going to divide by the number of scores, and there are 2 scores that we're averaging, right? So 13 divided by 2. You can use your calculator or you can do it mentally. If we do it mentally, we get, or on our calculator, 6.5. And that's our median. Now, if there was an odd number of scores, you'd end up with only 1 score in the middle and you wouldn't have to do any averaging. You'd already have your answer. All right, moving to mode. Mode is the score that occurs most frequently. And you notice down here it said you can have no mode or you can have more than 1. So looking up here at the numbers, did any of them repeat? Yes, 6 repeated, there were 2 of them, and 7 also, there were 2 of them. So we have a tie. 6 and 7 are both our modes. Now, just because they repeat does not mean they are the mode. If there were 3 6s here instead of just 2, then 6 would be the only one because it would beat 7. They can tie, but they have to have the same number of repeats. If none of them repeat, then we'd say no mode. All right, moving to our second and final example. Range, mean, median, and mode. Again, the first thing you need to do is write them out least to greatest. All right, so the smallest number I have here is 17, and just kind of organizing my work here, and then I have 21, and then I have 25, and then I have 28, and then I have 31, and then 33, and then 34. This is really important. If you don't order your work, how will you know how to find range or median? Median's especially important to have it listed out. So first of all, range, from our definition before, it's the difference between the greatest and smallest. Greatest, because we have it ordered, is 34, smallest is 17. 34 minus 17, you can do that by hand or you can use your calculator. I need to see this so I know that you understand what you're doing. And you should be getting what out here? You should be getting 17 as your range. Moving to our mean. Remember, mean is the sum of the scores divided by the quantity of the scores. So let's add these up. Again, if you have a calculator, you can use that. I'm just going to add them up over here. So 17, 21, 25, 28, 31, 33, 34. And 7 and 1 give me 8. 8 and 5 give me 13. 13 and 8 give me 21, 22, 25, 29. 2 and 1 give me 3. I get 5, 7, 9. 9 and 3 give me 12, 15, 18. So I get 189. And we divide by the quantity of scores. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scores. Okay, so we need to divide that out. Again, if you could have a calculator, you can use that. If not, do it by hand. 7 goes into 18 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. We subtract, we're left with 4. We bring down the 9. 7 goes into 49 7 times, and it does go evenly. So we can stop. So the mean of this data is 27. Okay, and again, you see this work that I showed here, what I got for my sum and the number of scores, and then what I got out as my answer. I should be seeing this in your homework. Moving to median, that middle score. So again, we come back up, and I should see this in your work too. how you're finding that middle score. So again, now we have how many scores here? We have 7 scores here, 7 numbers. So when it's odd, you will end up with only 1, okay? And you'll see that as we go here. So we have a low, high, low, high, low, high, and there is the only one left, right? We have 3 below it, 3 above it, and 28 is in the middle. It is the median. And because there were 7 scores, which is odd, we end up with only 1, and we don't have to average it like we did before. All right, last one is mode. Which one occurs the most? You guys see any repeats? I do not either, so our answer here is no mode. All right, we have made it to the end of the week, and you're headed into break. So before you head into break, do these 2 problems. Again, I need to see that work. You can use a calculator, but it should look pretty similar to what I did over here. The only thing that is a little bit different, so I should see it written out least to greatest. I should see your work on your median. I should see this subtraction, this division, and so on through here. You could do these parts in your calculator though. All right, so with that in mind, do these 2 homework problems, take a picture of it, submit it, and you will be wrapped up for the week. Make sure if you have any missing work or you're behind it all, or you need to make corrections, that you get that caught up. And then if you need to work on that over break, you'll have to do that. If you've been keeping up and you are on top of it, then enjoy your break. And I hope all of you enjoy your break one way or another. Remember, if you have questions, let me know. I'll see you later.